Welcome in. On behalf of Fitplan and Refining Aktiv, we definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in to the first Mindful Conversation as part of our Sweat It Out series. We're very excited for you to be here and hopefully learn some great information, some great opinions from these amazing trainers I have here with me. So without further ado, we'll go around, we'll get some names and make sure everyone knows who everyone is. So first we'll start with Maria.
Hey guys, my name is Maria Castillo, Flawed and Fit on Instagram. I've been training for about 3 years now, and I'm super excited to be here to have this conversation with you guys.
Awesome. Cool.
I am celebrity trainer Corey Kaye. I am a Fitplan trainer. I've been training for about 15 years. Been in the game a long time, and this is going to be a great conversation, and I'm excited about it.
Hey babes, I'm Brittany Jackson. I've been training since I was 19. I'm 26 today. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting topic today, so I'm excited to actually go over all this with you all.
Hey, Anthony Barty-Guatu, co-founder of Refining Aktiv, and you can connect with us at Refining Aktiv on Instagram.
How you guys doing? My name is Osamuel J, founder of Grow With O. I'm a certified personal trainer and public health specialist, and I'm excited to talk that talk today.
Yeah, and last but not least, I'm DJ Beard again, also co-founder of Refining Aktiv. Thank you guys for being here. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to hop right into the conversation. So what I want to do first is always a mental health check-in because it's a lot going on right now. So just first off, how is everybody? Corey, let's start with you.
I'm all right now. The first week of it, I kind of like tried to ignore it because I'm immune to it. I've been dealing with this for a long time as far as like, you know, police and stuff like that. So I wasn't worried about it until I actually saw it. And for the first time, I actually saw myself being in that could be me,
right?
Situation, and that was hard. But you know, it's a work in progress every day.
Every day, yeah, I understand. Brittany, how you doing?
Interesting. I don't really know how to answer that exactly. I know I just lost my mom a little while before this whole coronavirus took off, so I'm kind of like going through depression currently. So which is awkward for me to even say because usually I'm like, fine, everything's perfect, but it's not. And then the world right now is crazy, so I'm currently just learning just to figure out where I am, like where I stand in this world. So.
Of course, I think it's absolutely okay to not be okay right now, regardless of what you have going on. There's so much going on with the climate of the nation right now. You personally, this is a safe space. I definitely appreciate you being here, and thank you. Anthony, how you doing, man? Check in.
Well, I think for me, more so, I'm focused on the aftermath of everything. Rest in peace, George Floyd. I felt that what took place, unfortunately, we've seen it so many times before. But the aftermath is something that I think a lot of people are able to find some type of, you know, solace or catharsis, just knowing that, you know, finally there's a voice. So, you know, for me right now, I guess I'm hopeful. You know, that's the word for me.
OJ?
Yeah, I think it was a delayed kind of response. I think initially I saw it and I was like, wow, that's really unfortunate. You know, I chose not to watch the video. And then, you know, I heard about Ahmaud Arbery as well too, and then Breonna Taylor. And I think it just it hit me all at once, you know. The gym was like my escape. And, you know, I realized that even as I was working out, I was still thinking about them. And then I started going into this like panic mode, right? Like it felt like it was getting closer and closer. And so not only am I envisioning myself in a situation like that, but like, you know, my beloved, like my close friends, like Corey, like God forbid he drives nice cars. Like God forbid he ever gets pulled over, you know. So I started getting almost in this frenzy of like paranoia. Yeah. I think my mind began to shift into a little bit more of a hopeful state when I began to see the protests and just how diverse and how our I guess our cries weren't falling upon deaf ears.
Yeah, of course. Maria?
I think I'd say I'm anxious and excited at the same time. I'm anxious just because, you know, the state of everything right now, it's obviously, it's a scary place to be, to live in day to day, but at the same time excited for the change that is starting to occur, and yet anxious on the same token because of the work that still has to be done. So it's kind of just overwhelming at the same time, but like I said, trying to just see everything from a hopeful, positive point of view.
Good. OJ, you mentioned while you're working out. I want to get into what are some of the things that we all do to give us that mental break during this time. So for you, it's probably working out right now, right?
It's working out. It's definitely reading. And then, you know, faith plays a big part in my life as well, too. So, you know, tapping into my faith, you know, reading scripture and, again, having those conversations to know that, you know, I'm not alone, you know.
Anybody else want to chime in with what they're doing to kind of keep sane right now?
Aside from fitness, cooking. I love to cook. It's really therapeutic for me. And cleaning. That sounds so. I hate that. That sounds so like I like to cook and clean, but I really do. I think I don't know. Like with cleaning for me, it's like seeing something go from the A to B, messy to undone. Same with cooking, from something that's not done to done. I like that process. So for me, it's therapeutic. And the gym, of course, as well. It's always been an outlet for me.
Good.
I mean, my outlet was staying off social media.
Staying off social media. Yeah.
In 2 years, I never logged off. And I logged off for like 2 days, and it was the best feeling I've had because you get tired of seeing it. It's like you be okay. I'm okay one night. As soon as I log on, I'm mad again.
Yeah.
I told him one morning, this sounds crazy, and I'll just be open to say it. So I was good going to sleep. Woke up and I saw some crazy stuff. First thing I do is revert back to my old self and say I'm going to buy more guns.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one you're going to pull up on, and that could be the same outcome.
Correct.
And you don't want to think like that, because that's what majority of, because we're so mad now, we don't think peace.
Yeah.
There's 6 of us that think peace. 60 of us will pull up on spot.
Correct.
You know
Correct.
what I'm saying? So it's like, let me get off of here and go back to kumbaya.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a social media break is very important. We're bombarded with images of people who look just like us being abused, being killed, being shot, being choked every day, 24 hours a day. There's a new story, there's a new video, and I know for myself as well, a lot of that is overwhelming. And I try to stay off of social media before I go to sleep too, because I can't go to sleep with a heavy heart. It really weighs on my spirit, and it really, really messes with me. I kind of want to go back to some personal experiences. I want to ask you guys to think about your first interaction with the police. I know everyone's going to have a different experience. We already see some chuckles. But tell me about your first interaction. I want to start with Corey.
Sure.
Please.
It's funny, so I was watching, so Lil Wayne had said some stuff, and then people was mad about it. Then he came back and made another statement with, I forgot his name from Atlanta. He said, what you all seeing right now is what we saw all the time. I tell all my friends that's around me, I say, probably none of y'all ever walked in my shoes, because from New Orleans, which is real, I'm not this new cool New Orleans, I'm from like, get it how you live in New Orleans. So Wayne said we were used to it. So if the police hacking somebody up on the corner, we with our parents, they say turn your head, we're not jumping in the crowd trying to record. That was back in 96, 93 and stuff like that. So it was normal for me to get hacked up by the police every day. Walking down the street, it was almost as if it was that you see the police coming, unless you're doing something you're supposed to, you running. But you walk straight to the car, you get on the car. And then I remember it was, I think 2001, some stuff happened, police pulled us over, and before I can even say anything, he said, you'll run so I can shoot you in your back. And I'm young, but the thing is, that's normal. I wasn't used to that. I'm used to being on the ground, I'm used to being on a hot ass, on the hood of the car in the summer. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that was all the time. So I've been hacked up by the cops basically my whole childhood, not at least from like 12 to 19.
Right.
So it's like it didn't change, and now it's the same thing. Like he said, I ride around in a nice car, and I'm going to get pulled over. And just what happened? What if I get pulled over and the cop just not? He had a bad day.
Yeah. I think.
He's going to tell me to get out of the car.
Of course.
And he's already scared once he pulled me in.
Of course.
So what's going to happen?
Right.
And that's a real thing, and I hate that.
It's a sad experience knowing that you have to wake up and every time you get in your car, think about getting pulled over. Every time you drive by a police officer, I know I do it. It's a split decision. I check my mirrors. Yeah. I make sure I'm not speeding. I make sure do I have my registration. Like, these are thoughts that go through my head so quick, and a lot of people don't understand it unless you live through it. Maria, let's start with you.
So I'm going to sound like a delinquent. My second interaction with the police was, I think, the one that I consider traumatic, where I kind of saw firsthand what went down. So I was a freshman in college, University of South Carolina, go Gamecocks. And my friends and I, we were out driving. We wanted IHOP. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and we were lit. So we had my friend Brandon. Sorry, we can say his name. It's fine. Brandon drive because he was sober, And so we were driving around. We literally made it to the entrance of the IHOP, and then we saw blue lights behind us, and we were like, what's going on? It's late. It was in the middle of January. There was no one else around. We weren't speeding or anything. So I was like, okay, this is weird. So we stopped, and we're sober. I mean, he's sober, we're not, so we're kind of just like, on edge to begin with. But 2 hours later, just to make a long story short, we are standing outside in our pajamas and in slippers in the middle of January in South Carolina while this man is being searched. My friend's car, because that's whose car he was driving, was ripped apart from top to bottom because they claimed that his license was expired. Turns out it wasn't expired. They pulled up campus police. There was at least 6 to 7 different cop cars there because, now I know my rights after my first experience with the police that you have to have a female cop present to search other females. He was the only male. It was 4 of us. 3 of us were black and 1 was white. The disparity between how they treated the 3 of us versus, our 1 white friend and him being a black male was so obvious. And the part that I think was just so shocking that it was blatant. It wasn't like they were trying to, be undercover about how they really felt about the situation. Luckily, we got away with nothing. No charges, I guess I'd like to say. But it was just kind of a moment of like, shit, he might not make it out of this type of thing, and that was my first experience, I think, being face to face with that.
Yeah. OJ?
Yeah, mine was probably when I was like 13, 14 on a high school campus. I was actually, it was like on my way to 6th period, so going to track practice. And I remember a police officer said, "Hey, you boy, stop." And, I don't respond to a "hey, you boy," so I just kept walking. And he said, "Hey, you boy, I'm not going to tell you to stop again." So now I'm like, yo, who's he talking to, And so, we made eye contact, and then he had called another police officer. I stopped at this point. I'm just perplexed, like, what's going on? He has to see my student ID, So at this point, he had made this big old scene. There's like 3, I'm this scrawny kid, and there's like 3, grown adult police officers on campus. And, people walking past me, they're whispering like, oh, so, I'm a freshman at this point. And, I asked him why I'm being stopped, and he was like, oh, you look like a gang member we heard about, or something like that. It was just something just so just trash. Yeah. He wasn't smooth. It wasn't like, oh, you fit the culprit. He just like, oh, you look like a gang member. Yeah. And I just remember, eventually they let me go. After they made the scene, I started getting teary-eyed because I'm just so frustrated. Yeah. And then, my coach had asked me, like, I had a white coach. He's like, "Why are you late?" And I said, "Oh, they stopped me. They said I look like a gang member." And he just said, "Well, maybe you should stop wearing red T-shirts." And that was that. It was like, "We'll stop wearing red T-shirts."
How did that make you feel?
It was like a fury. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking like, yo, my coach will at least be able to provide some consoling words. But he was just like, "Well, yeah, stop. We don't look like a gang member." And I was like, what is it looking like a gang member mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can take off my shirt. I can't take off my skin. You know what I'm saying? I think what you meant was like, you were referring to the color of my skin. So it's just moments like that, like Corey says, and it happens so often that you almost begin to normalize those interactions.
Yeah. Brittany?
Personally, like, as crazy as it may sound with what's going on, I've never really had an encounter with the police ever. I remember I used to have friends, like some of my white friends would say, "Oh, Brittany, you're not that kind of black person, that's why." Or, "Brittany, you're not typical black person, you're not stereotypical black person." And in a way that bothered me because people think that just because of who I am or how I was raised or where I grew up, it means that I'm less black, or, I may look black, but I may not act black. I don't really understand that, but I do see what is going on in the world, and these things affect me just as much as all black people, all of us. So who knows? Maybe it'll happen today, maybe tomorrow. I hope it doesn't.
I guess kind of like what Maria said, I have a lot of experiences, but I can only really hone in on the one that stood out the most. One of my early experiences, I must have been 16 because I had my little brother with me. I probably had my license for a few months, so I'm still at the point where I'm obeying all the laws of the road. I'm signaling about 100 yards before I turn, all that. But I'm grabbing some food for my brother. We ended up going to McDonald's. Y'all might not like that, but that's what we did. Went to McDonald's, slid in there, got some food. Actually, no, it was Burger King, even worse. So went to Burger King, got some food, and we're leaving to, just go to the park, go hang out. And my brother says, I want some apple pies. But I know my brother, he doesn't want the Burger King apple pie. He wants the McDonald's apple pie. So I got to, there's a difference. So I got to, bust a U-turn, and I pull into the driveway for the McDonald's, and I hear the boot,
Yeah.
And I get stopped, and I'm wondering, what happened? What did I do wrong? I know it wasn't a signal because I signaled already 150 yards ago. I don't know, what it is that's going on, but basically the explanation that she gave me was your U-turn looks suspicious, and and I sat there, I took it for a little bit because my brother's there, and at this moment, it sticks out to me because it's one of the moments where I had to recognize that I'm setting an example, and no matter what happens, I don't want him to behave in a manner, just because he saw me do it, because it may end up differently for him. So, I was upset. We went about the day, but I was upset the whole day because I'm wondering what makes my U-turn suspicious.
Right. There's a
So,
color of a U-turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, my U-turn was too dark, I guess. But, that was my first interaction. Or not my first, but my most notable.
Yeah. I want to shift gears a little bit. We're here talking to you guys because a lot of you guys, all of you really, you guys represent the minority voices in fitness. How do you guys feel minorities are represented in the fitness industry? Let's start with OJ.
Well, first and foremost, I would like to correct that ideology that we are not the minority.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I would say that we are the majority, and we do definitely have the most distinguishable, physiques and swag and just contributions to the culture. That's unparalleled. That guy's a walking testimony of that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't think we are necessarily highlighted, especially like black women. You know what I'm saying? As a black male, I think there's still some kind of privilege, we can still navigate with. But, shout out to Brittany because I think you're doing, fantastic and phenomenal things. But, I'm sorry, what was your question?
How do you feel about the minority representation in fitness? Do you feel there's enough of it? Do you feel there's not enough? Do you feel sometimes you might get looked over for certain things because you are a minority?
Yeah, I think it definitely can be better, but I think it starts with what does our community value, and I think it's slowly beginning to shift, right? But like we were just talking about upstairs, we don't really place that much value on, investing in our health, gym memberships. We'd rather go to the day parties, we'd rather get tables, we'd rather entertain ourselves and kind of just put a lot of toxic things not only in our bodies but in our minds. So I think when that shift happens, right, when that audience begins to say hey, I think it's more important to invest in a personal trainer than, my party expenses or whatever it is, then I think you might see the proliferation of a lot more black men and black women in fitness.
Corey, you've been training for a lot of years, and I know you've seen it grow.
Yeah, being behind the scenes, being a trainer a long time ago in the South, first of all, where fitness wasn't even, people didn't care about it that much. I jumped in it, and I saw the hustle. I understood the hustle of it, and honestly, I feel like maybe 2015, fitness started to become cool. So when you say minority representation, I think of myself, but I had to do something different than every trainer I knew because I saw the other trainers that wasn't my color that was at the top, and I was able to find my niche to be a representation of what y'all want to be like. So if a lot of people paid attention to my career, I started going to doors and kicking them open that others couldn't do, but I'm preparing the way, I'm leading the way for everybody else. I think that, being a trainer in this day and age, it's become a thing to do.
Yeah.
And being myself, and I like OJ, I try to, all my friends around me that are trainers, I feel like being a black male and setting the standard. This is what you all want to be like. Don't be like me, be better than me. And in this industry, like I said, was filled with so many different trainers because today you can lose 5 pounds and everybody's a trainer. But I think my whole thing of it is that I want to continue to be a role model to a lot of trainers and continue to do things that everybody can't do because a lot of guys that come to me say, if you did it, I can too. And if I'm doing that, I'm not only setting an example, but I'm gonna make it something you want to do. It's a cool thing, you know what I'm saying? And it's still a lot of growth,
yeah.
but I feel like I am one of the ones that's up there, that's going against everybody else,
Yeah.
and I'm leading.
Appreciate that. It takes people blazing trails for other people to come behind and be successful. So definitely appreciate you, what you're doing. Ladies, from the ladies' perspective, fitness is, I mean, there's a lot of ladies who are primarily into fitness. They're a lot of the supporters of the industry. How do you guys have seen the industry change?
It's changing. I wouldn't say it's changing, but it's changing.
Like
it's,
this?
Yeah, very slow, especially for females. Yeah. Like for me, when I first got into the fitness industry, I didn't have anyone who looked like me, you know, to look up to. I had Serena Williams, who I still look up to, but as far as like a black female, like to this day, I can't think of someone at that time who I could look up to, you know? So when I first started my journey into the industry, like I found myself trying to be like white females in order to really get up there. So that's what I did. I mimicked all of the white females, you know, who were popping in the industry, you know, and that's what I did. And I was growing and growing and growing. But then I said, how can I differentiate myself from the others? How can I make myself just more unique and just more of just who Brittany Jackson is? You know, how can I be an individual? And now I wear a lot of like protective hairstyles. I do a lot of like natural hairstyles. I talk about just being black. Like I try to really emphasize and show my self-love, my journey. It took me a long time to really love myself and who I am. Because it's hard to love yourself if the whole world is against you. How can you really believe that you really love yourself? You really love your skin, things like that. So in the beginning, I wasn't really being Brittany Jackson. I was being like others so that I can grow. And it worked. As sad as it sounds, it worked. And then I was able to find myself along that way to really become Brittany Jackson. You know, and like it was one day I was hiking and I saw a little black girl and she was with like, I guess 2 white adults, could be her parents. And she was like, oh my God, that girl looks like me. And like, she had braids, she was black, you know, a little dark skinned girl. And I was like, see, this is why I do this. I want to use my platform to just show others that you can, you know, be who you want to be and love yourself at the same time. So I do think that overall in this industry, there have been changes, but we're not where we should be. But I really hope that in time we really get where we need to be. So.
Maria?
Definitely agree with everything she just said. And just so you know, you're one of the people that I saw on social media that I was like, damn, I want to look like that. You know, 3 years ago, Maria not being able to lift a water bottle. So yeah, that's amazing. Keep doing your thing. But I want to attest to like even like the fitness modeling side of things. I'm with a few agencies. I just wanted to speak on that aspect of the fitness industry, where I think it's easier to get away with little microaggressions. Like I've had agents be like, you need to lose weight because, you know, they don't do curvy fitness models, or you need to straighten your hair just to be more palatable to the client. Palatable, is that how you guys say it? Is that okay?
Yeah. To
the client that you're going to see, type of thing. It's either, you know, you have an afro or you have straight hair, and it's like, it's very frustrating to see, you know, your blackness be an aesthetic or a trend versus, you know, just someone wanting to work with you for you. So I would say that that's an area that I want to see things addressed and things to change. But like I said, I think it is nice to see people that look like us in positions of influence and power. And in general, just like, I know I can speak for the Hispanic community, just someone that values health, because that's not something that we're really taught. Diet, nutrition, things like that. So yeah, it's just all about representation and noticing those microaggressions, and instead of maybe just sitting back and swallowing them and straightening my hair, being like, no, I'm gonna come with my 2 afro puffs and you're gonna book me anyway because I can work out for real.
I like that. You're gonna get these curls. It's safe to say there is a movement going on right now. Black Lives Matter is at the forefront of it. And I know a lot of us work with people who don't look like us. How do you guys go about educating your counterparts on the movement? And like, do you get any negative feedback, or do you get any, you know, any slack about that? Do you get the all lives matter reaction? Yeah. No.
No
No.
one says that to me.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's not about to say.
Nah, not at all.
No.
No, I think we actually have the privilege of choosing who we want to associate with, right? And so most of the people that I'm around with are people that inspire me and quite frankly look like me, right? And so I'm never really put in that position, right? But I feel like if you are in corporate America, it's not your job to educate, you know? You know, you can if you choose to, but we live in the age of, you know, technology and information. You can Google.
Right.
You can Google. You can look on Amazon and get a book on, you know, Racism 101. And that's actually a real book, Racism 101. So, you know, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
Can I say something?
Of course.
So
please.
yeah, like I've seen that. I think it's just kind of overwhelming to ask people to, you know, change something that they didn't start to begin with. But at the same time, so I grew up in South Carolina, was born in the Dominican Republic, moved there when I was about 10 years old. And my stepfather, who's raised me since I was about 4 years old, is a white man from Mississippi, you know? So I have white family. I've, you know, seen both sides, but I've had various, you know, experiences that maybe that side of the family wouldn't understand. So I think when it comes to education, it's more so just, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like being, when it comes to learning something new, you can have this air of like, of scariness, because you maybe not know that be scared that you're not going to fully understand what you're being taught, or B, not be able to apply what you're being taught, right? So I think maybe being an ally to those people so that they can go be allies for other people, it's a lot to ask, but you know, some people, if that's your role in the whole process, then make that your role. And if it's not, and your role is to be, you know, someone that is just pro-Black and supporting everything, you know, in that regard, that's okay too. We just, I think, need both.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything?
Well, I guess I can speak a little bit from what we do at Refined and Active. Our real goal was, when we first started, was really not so much about, you know, the brunch party aspect of it, but really trying to introduce people to Black businesses. We work with some companies that were either founded by from some Black entrepreneurs, or the kitchen was headed by a Black chef, which especially in LA is pretty difficult. People don't recognize that. So we really wanted to make sure that we were opening people's eyes to where it is that they could put their Black dollars. So in dealing with that though, we deal with a lot of restaurants, and sometimes when you're going through the vetting process, because our vetting process is, okay, you know, who's behind this? You know, but a lot of these restaurants, their vetting process is, okay, who's coming to this? And they'll find little ways, you know, there's very covert ways of asking, or, you know, little microaggressions. They'll ask you, you know, what type of music is it? And we already know, you know, what it is that they're getting at. You know, so with Refined and Active, our goal really was just, let's make sure that we're doing something for our community, in our community, and even if we're not hollering about it all the time, just make sure that that's, you know, that's something that we, you know, we stick to. So in working with Fitplan, you know, it's been a great partnership also, because we wanted to be able to bring, you know, fitness and some of what OJ was talking about, bring that, the mentality that health is important, that health is wealth. We want to bring that to our community as well. It's not just about, you know, eating some delicious brunch or, you know, mimosas. You know, that's awesome too. I'm always down for that. But we have to also let people know, hey, you got to take care of yourself. And we were able to partner with Fitplan. Not many organizations are going to say to you, hey, we're going to go ahead and sponsor this for you. Bring as many people as you can. Get the word out. You know, get health and fitness out there. A lot of folks are going to look for, where are they getting, you know, the back end, the dollars. That was never even a conversation. They just said yes. And then somebody like Corey comes up and, you know, they pitch the idea to him and he just says yes. You know, and that's the power of our community, is we can provide these things for each other. We just have to make sure that we continue to recognize that, you know, Black lives matter. Black everything matters. You know, Black dollars matter. Black businesses matter. Black entrepreneurs matter. And other people in our community that are marginalized. Black trans matter. Black LGBT matter. It's just an understanding of, we have to make sure that we're there for each other, because, you know, like they say, we all we got.
Right. Why do you guys think it took so long for the message to finally be listened to? I know we've been saying this for years. Why do you think now?
I think it took for us to come together for real, and not just, oh, maybe, you know, how can we ask another race and people to see us when we still doing like this to each other?
That's a word.
So when we were able to come together for real and really have each other's back, I am my brother's keeper. You know, a little bit of what he's saying, you know, being able to work with each other. They came to me about the event. I said, cool, let's do it. Just let me know when. You know what I'm saying? But until we come together strong, that's when the world will come together. Because what they always say, well, they killing each other, so it don't matter.
Right.
But now they see something different. Now they're joining in, they're being with us. Because now they see the clarity in how and what we were saying. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a big part of it, because I've never seen nothing this big like in my life.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I think you look at who's at the helm of leadership, and you know, President Trump does not disguise his dislikes or, you know, how he feels about certain people, certain communities. And the blessing in that is that other communities are now realizing that, wait, these guys weren't making this up. They're not being dramatic. You know, this is actually a thing. And when you have someone who has his position, who has his power of influence, you know, spewing hate directly or indirectly, there is a greater level of empathy that I think I've seen now with maybe the community that wasn't, you wouldn't really call them like racist. You know, they were just kind of like, you know, we live in a post-racial society. Obama's president, you know, everything's good, right? And so I think, you know, because we were having the issues 4 or 5 years ago, right, with Mike Brown, Trayvon, you know, that all happened under the Obama administration. And people kind of swept under the rug like, those are just micro situations. Those are isolated situations. And I think now people are beginning to realize like, oh, wow, like this is still a very large part of the American DNA, that hate, that racism, and capitalism, right? Because the two are tied together. So I think that's also contributed to people reawakening.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with people not necessarily not understanding, but if they don't look at the hard fact that America was born on 400 years of free labor, period. Like, how do you catch up from that? How do you get that out of, like you said, the country's DNA? You don't. It takes a lot to move prejudices and move things that are taught to you. Because no one's born racist. No one's born a bigot. These are all things that are learned and taught. And so I think you're absolutely correct. I agree with you. I think it's a lot of people that have been forced to look at not only themselves, but America, but where they fit into the equation. Brittany, you wanted to share some thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I do appreciate and love all of the awareness and, you know, the protesting and the commercials, and there's like ads on games like, you know, all those games.
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Call of Duty, yeah.
So I really do appreciate the emails and things like that, I do. But I'm just hoping that we're not a fad.
Facts.
I'm hoping that this isn't just going to go over everyone's heads after a while and, all right, let's move on back to regular programming. I'm hoping that this really does cause change. You know, you can donate to whoever you want to, but do you really mean it? Is it meaningful? Or are you doing it for clout? You know, to get more followers, to get more sales. I'm hoping that this is really meaningful and is really going to make a difference in the long run, not just for right now, because we're hot right now. Finally, we're finally popping. Right, we've been popping, but we're finally popping. So. Yeah.
You said something, and on to what you said. We went hiking last week.
Yeah.
We was talking about you're not born racist.
Yeah.
And we were hiking, so of course when you hike now, everybody, I hate to say this white person, every white person speaks and smiles, they just happy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I was just on this hike 2 weeks ago.
Especially when we're together, right? People are usually like,
you
know, looking the other way or intimidated for no reason. But go ahead.
They super like happy. But I saw something that gave me chills and it made me excited because we're not born racist. So you're taught that. So all those these white supremacy and racism people, that whoever they are right now, they were taught that from their fathers, their grandfathers, whoever it was.
Of course.
So as we're hiking, I see these. We look on the ground and we see hashtag BLM in colorful letters. The thing was, it was no black kids that was right. There was white kids. So now what's happening is we're gonna, now you're teaching your children the right thing. So now generations from now, years from now, they're going to look at things different than what their parents would probably taught.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts. It starts with the children because they weren't born like that. So that's like, you know what? Change is starting to come. We may not get it overnight.
Yeah.
But we take it one step forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point. I want to talk about what happened with George Floyd. Obviously, we all know it was a horrible thing. He was murdered. I'm gonna call it what it is. And my question is based on you guys. So you guys have been training for years, 15 years, 17 years, 13 years. You guys have to have a certain level of training, a certain amount of hours, a certain amount of time to be experts in your field. It takes a high school diploma and 6 months of training to become a police officer. And I think a lot of the issues that arise in this country are due to lack of training. How do you guys feel about policy moving forward requiring police to have more training, specifically in maybe de-escalating or understanding or seeing racial bias? And like, how does that relate to you guys putting in the hours and the sweat and the time to be experts in your field? Because like you said, you lose 5 pounds, anybody can be a trainer.
Before I took off my training in 2011, I was actually about to be a cop in Louisiana. I got to the last point. I would have made a great cop, 100%. I would chase you down and do whatever I had to do. And that was a real thing. And then when we did our tests and everything, I was with a lot of little white boys. You know, you tell in high school, they wasn't hitting no shit.
Yeah.
So you get behind a badge, you got some balls,
man.
Mm-hmm. But I think you get trained right, but I think you choose to do what you want.
Mm.
As a trainer, we train a whole lot. But we choose to say, don't worry about it. You can skip today. So I think that George Floyd, I think that was personal. Mm. I think that you got the right training. Matter of fact, you've been on the force for a long time, so you got trained right. Because you have to be trained right to actually graduate from the academy. Ain't no way around that. Mm. You know, there's good cops and there's bad cops, and I have a lot of cop friends that's like my real good cop friends. And they got some assholes out there, and I say it again, you know what I'm saying? That was something personal, that was something you wanted to do. Yeah. You had pride. You were sitting there like, you know what, I'm gonna get off from this, because you know what, we get away with it anyway. But not today, partner. Right. That's what that was.
I think that it comes down to, teaching a cop how to de-escalate a situation, you know, physically cool. I want a history lesson. You know, I want like how corporate America does inclusivity and diversity training, because at the end of the day, a cop, a judge, whatever, you are a human. You're gonna bring all of your biases and prejudices to work with you, whether you like it or not. It's called subconscious. We're human, period, you know? So it takes someone knowing, and maybe, you know, I guess, I don't know what the right answer is, but maybe tapping into the empathy part of someone. Sympathy is looking at someone being like, damn, that would suck if that was me. Empathy is letting go of everything you've been through in life, putting yourself in that person's shoes and being like, okay, now how are they seeing us through their eyes and through their lens, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think it comes down to tapping into the root of who someone is as a person. You can't necessarily vouch if someone is a good or a bad person, but you sure can, you know, educate and then harsher consequences clearly on the people who disobey the law. You know, you murder someone, you're a murderer, period. So yeah,
I just feel like going off what you said, separate business versus like personal, because once you make everything personal, I mean, that's not what your job is supposed to be. It's supposed to be to help the community, to help make the community safer, not to make it less safe. You know, keep the personal, the pride, all that aside from business. But then I can see how that makes it hard, because we are humans who have a bunch of different emotions. So my thing is, I'm a little like confused as to why we have, I know we need someone to save the day, but to give another human all of that power over other humans, you know, it's like, what else can we do? Because clearly this isn't working, having officers have power over others without getting their pride, without getting their emotions in the way. So what else can we do? Like, I feel like we shouldn't even have officers at this point, because it's not really working out, because people are dying more and more every day.
I think, and like I was just to like back up on that, is in regards to the training aspect, is it was Derek Chauvin, has how you say his last name. Mm-hmm. He was how many counts of
He had a lot, yeah.
You are, I saw this tweet and it was like, you work at Dairy Queen and you shit in the ice cream machine 5 times, but the 6 times you did it right, so it's okay. We're gonna forget the 5 times you did it. And you've been serving shitty ice cream this whole time, but it's cool because you know it's Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does that not apply to a job that just to kind of give perspective that you're actually dealing with human lives? I just don't understand. That was just something
I was gonna do a body swap. Like one day take a cop, put him in a black man body, go out there and see how it feels.
Right. That'll change perspective.
It's gonna change because at the end of the day, it's something personal. You choose. It's the one thing that we can do for free. We can choose to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We can choose to go left or right. You chose to do that.
Yeah.
So you can go through ethics training. You can break down the police department. You can try to brainwash them. They're gonna choose to do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And until they change as a person, as people, as a force, whatever it may be, the good cops really like, let's hang out, let's talk. I met this man a year ago. He changed a lot because I was aggressive and mean a lot of times because I had to be like that because I come from the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like I had to get somebody to just make it a little lighter. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta. Unless you strip down the police department down to the bare and you start all over again. Don't take your good training away. Take the bullshit away. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're afraid of. That's what we're talking about right now.
Right.
They got racism in other places. When it comes to politics and corporate stuff like that. But the stuff we don't see that. We see police. So if we can that's the part. And again, this is for any cop that's watching this. I know every one of you all not bad. I got a lot of great cop friends. I was trying to be one of y'all myself. But for the ones that's out here doing what you want, it's not good. Try switching it up one day and see how it feels.
Yeah. I want to get into the subject of community, and I think that's where it starts. It's kind of been a movement to defund the police, and a lot of people have misconceptions about what that means. It doesn't mean disband them. It means take away some of those resources that are geared toward the police department and put them toward other areas in the community that are useful. I think going off of what you said, Brittany, that might be an option. A lot of people are discussing it. How do you guys feel about putting more resources into the community as opposed to putting so much money directly into the police department?
I think you just begin to feel the problem when you add to you just continue to fund it, right? I think a lot of the friends I look at that got lost, right? That pivotal moment or was like in middle school to high school. And had they either been in sports or just something in a club or something to just in some kind of community program, right? As long as they had something to do, before their parents got home from work, if they had, just 2 or 3 hours a day, the trajectory of their life would have been completely different. And so I think, and that doesn't even have to be a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? Because I think they said 150 million, they just defunded LAPD 150 million. 150 million can go a long way
in the community,
especially because LA Unified School District does not have the greatest history, So if you put 150 million into LAUSD, wow, Dorsey, Crenshaw, Inglewood.
Yeah.
What?
That's home.
What?
Yeah. Imagine the change.
5 to 10 years immediately.
That's great. You want to say any thoughts?
I was even going to say, help with the community is going to be, everything. It's going to there's some young kids in different communities who don't even know how to interact with police officers.
Facts.
Right? Some, have rage. They don't know how to talk. But we have to learn, and this goes for officers as well. We have to learn how to have a connection, a relationship, between each other. And it'll make all the difference. I mean, if we can actually just have communication and learn things together, it'll make all the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's just very important that the communities that are being policed are policed by people that look like them, right? And so because that cultural understanding is already established, that empathy is already established, right? So you can even save money on the training. When you look at major cities with black populations, you look at Houston, you look at Atlanta, you look at DC, they're policed by people that look like them. And so there's already this unspoken rule or understanding that, look, I might not care too much for your profession, but I know you're not going to violate me or disrespect me unless, I'm partaking in illegal activities.
Yeah. Anthony?
Oh, so what I was going to say was, as far as defunding the police, I think that it's a great move. At first, you know, I made it with a little bit of hesitation, but you know, when you look at it a little bit more and like some of the initiatives that people have in mind, I think it makes sense to take some duties out of the hands of police. We have, you know, personally, I've worked in the nonprofit sector in management for the majority of my career because I just wanted to do things in the community and I wanted to help the community. But I found that there were so many different situations where the community wasn't being provided for in a certain way. So you rely on so many different factors. But one of the ways that it wasn't being provided for was, you know, things like wellness checks. You know, I worked with some great people over at the Department of Mental Health, also the Department of Rehabilitation, and they'll work with folks trying to get them back on their feet, trying to get them, you know, housed, trying to get them jobs, doing, you know, great programs with the Housing Authority here in LA. But it doesn't work when those people are on the street trying to make a way for themselves and you call the police on it and the police react in a way that's hostile or violent. You know, instead it'd make more sense to have these mental health professionals there in that place to understand how to de-escalate situations. And we have to also understand that in LA, there's a criminalization of poverty that's been going on for decades now. Somebody on Skid Row that's pushing a shopping cart with all their belongings in it. Well, they've made shopping carts illegal now. So somebody on Skid Row who has a shopping cart is getting cited upon cited. This has been going on for a while. So they're getting cited upon citing, and at some point, this person, they have a warrant for their arrest. If they get stopped by the police, now the police take them to jail. And then that person is in jail, not getting the help that they may need, because a large portion of that Skid Row population is also a large portion of the LA mental health population. And a large portion of those people are black, because we don't have folks with the resources to say, oh, I have an addiction or I have a mental health problem, let me go to rehab, let me go seek counseling. And we know in the black community, you know, therapy, you know, that just became popular.
Yeah, you don't speak on that.
You know, so I think it does make sense if we are talking about defunding the police, have them see to matters that may warrant, you know, a little bit more interaction. But if we're talking about being in the community and protecting and serving, there are a lot of different peoples, different organizations that can see to some of these needs.
The last thing I want to talk about is platform. We all have a platform. Black Lives Matter has a huge platform right now. Fitplan has given us this platform to talk about these subjects. I want to discuss how you guys plan moving forward to use your platform to not only educate people on what's going on, but also make some change in the community.
I know it took me a long time to really like speak out on things. Like I was always like, Brittany never talk about politics or religion or race. Like that's what I was taught. But it took me a while to realize like people are looking at you. Like I have a strong black female following. So it was like if I don't say anything, it's like, you know, like I have to speak and be honest about how I truly feel. So it took me a while to really like sit back and just be like shit is messed up, you know, and I want to continue to speak out and talk about my journey, how I feel, and I want to just be there more for people who look like me, who feel what I'm feeling, you know, inside. So I want to just really focus on just being more involved in my community and being more active.
Maria?
Yeah, I would say the same thing, and like I said, using my platform to educate those people, and also using my voice in my personal situations, like at home with my half-white family, or, you know, like I said, growing up in a place where it is majority white, I have a diverse group of friends. So more so just like you said, not being hesitant about speaking, because I don't want to offend someone, or, you know, this is the time now to, I think, see the bigger picture and, you know, become an activist in to whatever degree you see fit for yourself. So definitely using the bit of influence that I have to do that and to create that space, like I said, personally, where I want other people who don't look like me, who have questions, to feel free to ask them.
Yeah. OJ?
Yeah, I think the misconception is that, you know, to contribute to this movement, you got to be Martin, you got to be Malcolm. And I think everyone has a unique contribution, right? If maybe you don't feel comfortable speaking out, and maybe you are financially in a good place, donate. Those contributions look different for everyone. If you're financially well off, then donate. You know, pay for someone's bell. or support any nonprofit movement that is here for the cause. I think also a lot of those changes happen on a micro level, right? So how are you interacting with other black men and black women, right? And that begins to kind of ripple. To even go more personal, like we said, Black dollars matter. Do you have good credit? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you in a financially and mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy place, right? Because that becomes contagious. You know, we attract the people that we're alike. And so I think when you have, you know, healthy families, you then begin to have healthy communities, healthy cities, and then just a movement transpires, you know? So I think those changes really happen on a micro level, so being really the best person that you can be.
Anthony, how does Refine and Aktiv plan to amplify their voice and make some change?
I think a lot of it, you know, we've actually been doing for a while, and we kind of took this opportunity, you know, because prior to the Black Lives Matter movement going global, I think, you know, everybody was dealing with Corona. You know, we actually had an event that we had to postpone because, you know, we didn't want to be responsible for people getting sick. So we took that opportunity to introduce the Your Health Matters series. So in doing that, we really focused on financial literacy. We focused on mental health. We focused on physical health, you know, physical well-being. And just being able to have a voice and, you know, bring different therapists on and, you know, have them interact with our following. So that's a large part of what we're going to do, or continue to do, I should say. In addition, I think for me personally, I'm usually more so behind the scenes. You know, in the time that we've been doing this with Refine and Aktiv, I've never really been in front of the camera because it hasn't been about, you know, us and the staff. It's really just been about what it is that we're trying to do, who we're trying to work with. But I think what we're going to do also is just take the opportunities to control the narrative a little bit more about, you know, what it is that we're doing in the communities, and continue to encourage people to collaborate with us, different organizations. We've been able to work with a lot of great Black organizations, Black entrepreneurs, folks that are, you know, have the same mindset. So I think we have to be a little bit more intentional about showing people these collaborations, you know, like the urban societies and the unique clothing, and obviously the Fitplan, and really showing them what's going on behind the scenes and what the mentalities are behind, you know, some of these events that you see us putting on.
Like I was saying, I think it was the fact where because I don't have a happy medium. It's like I'm either turning up or I ain't saying nothing.
Right.
And that's just me who I am. So, but I realized that people look for me for a different reason outside of fitness too, and it's an authentic voice. I'm really relatable to every level of a person, and that's every level of a person from poor to super successful. But a lot of people who talk sometimes they can't relate to people because they just talk surface. I like to talk to you.
Yeah. And
being a black man in this industry, being at a high level of it, I realize I have a lot of black men that look up to me, all men actually. And being a voice to make men understand this is what you should be doing, not what you want to do. So they can see there's no leaders right now.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm about to be Melvin Maximo, King, none of those guys at all. But I feel as there's a piece for me to start to use my voice to speak, because social media, we look at it all day.
Yeah.
And if somebody can really tap into people, that's what we're gonna listen to.
Yeah.
And you see how it changed, because everything becomes trendy and becomes habit, then it becomes the way that you actually live. And I think my part in this whole thing is, and we speak about it all the time, is you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what Corey said too, like, not all of us, but it's a shame that so many of us have felt like we had to separate how we truly feel about these touchy subjects, right? It's a shame that we had to be like that. You know, we had to even think of that. But that's the world that we grew up in, right? So I'm hoping that this change that we're going through really does matter in terms of like making a difference in the long run. So,
well, I just want to thank you guys for being leaders and being voices in our community, in the fitness community, in your respective homes. We need people to speak up. We need people with a platform to say what a lot of us are thinking. We need people to encourage people to have the strength to go out and protest, or to donate, or to tell that family member, hey, that's not okay. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being leaders in the community and being here. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank Fitplan for giving us this platform to talk. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, man. These people are amazing and they have thoughts, and I'm sure you're thinking a lot of the same thing. Also, don't forget, during Sweat It Out, we're donating a portion of each workout done on the app to the United Negro College Fund until the end of the month. Please, please make sure to get on those workouts. We have Maria leading a workout with us pretty soon, so make sure to look out for that too. We have a goal of $10,000 that we want to donate, guys. So if you're already working out, thank you. Continue to. If you haven't, jump on the app, finish those workouts, for we are donating a portion of the proceeds to the United Negro College Fund. Thank you guys for tuning into our first mindful conversation. Thank you, trainers, for being here. And yeah, man, Black Lives Matter.